Hey folks, like I said, I'm going to be adding to the video here today. I'm going to do a little cooking here. This is something that potentially you and your family can do easily. I'm going to do two different recipes. Both are really pretty simple, but they're both tasty. So we've been talking about invasive species, which came in with many of them came in with the first settlers, and others have come in through time because of ornamentals, people wanting to decorate and make things nice. So we're going to look at garlic mustard right now, which is really predominant in around old neighborhoods and old woods. And it looks just like this. You can see the little white flower on the top, and we'll get a real close-up shot of that leaf. Really study this before you pick it. But you'll see it around houses, and it was really brought in. A lot of leafy plants were brought in essentially colonial times or shortly thereafter, even things like dandelion, because there was no way to mass produce or send out things like spinach and lettuce. So they'd grow these kind of wayside weeds, and garlic mustard was a real popular one because if you eat it, it has a very nice, subtle, garlicky and mustardy taste. So, it'll go in great mats and great clusters, but unfortunately, it chokes out native species. And I have lots of it on my property, trying to get my boys to pull it up. But in the meantime, we can use it in this recipe. Now, keep in mind, I don't advocate that we hold on to these species. I think we should get rid of them the best we can. But in the meantime, it's pretty nice to be able to use them. And honestly, I don't think we're getting rid of a lot of them. We're going to do something with knotweed later on. Here's some knotweed, Japanese knotweed. You're probably familiar with that. We're certainly not getting rid of knotweed. I don't think we're getting rid of garlic mustard. But what we're going to do with the garlic mustard is we're going to make a pesto out of it. So over here, bring this over. I've got the ingredients for a pesto. Really pretty basic. A hard cheese or a Parmesan or Romano, right? That's grated finely. I got a whole bunch of diced up garlic here. And then I have my garlic mustard and then nettle, which I'll talk about in a moment. Nettle is not an invasive. I do want to talk about that in a moment. So we get rid of invasives by way of pesticide treatment, hand pulling. Those are the two best ways to get rid of them. But basically you cut them down, treat them with a pesticide, or pull them by hand. And some governments, statewide governments in this country are absolutely spending millions of dollars on trying to rein in these invasive species that are potentially wreaking havoc on ecosystems. So what I noticed, you noticed they had nettle there? Yep, this is actually nettle, young nettle shoot, the stuff that stings you. It's got these hairs on it. Those hairs have toxins. They don't stick into you like, say, a raspberry or a rose. They actually have a toxin, so if you brush against them, they sting. If you grab it firmly, it doesn't sting really bad at all, and it doesn't bother me. These are young, and the leaves are very tender, very, very high in vitamin A and C, and iron as well. So we're going to actually use that with our pesto. So we're making a nettle, wild nettle, and garlic mustard pesto. So I've got a pot of water here on the stove. It's about ready. Just take some of my garlic mustard. It's all been taken off the stem. And I quickly put it in the water. Just blanch it in that water. No big deal there. And in the same pot, I'm not really worried about it, I'm going to put my nettles. The reality is that the nettles, again, as they get older, they'll get tougher. But the nettles are a little bit tougher than the garlic mustard. But trust me, they taste great. So I'm just going to put them in there. Take a spoon, just push them down in the water. I'll get a really nice actual brew, meaning you get this colored water here very quickly, which could be a tea. And I'm just going to let that go. Okay, we're just going to do that for like, whoop, I did that the wrong way. We're going to do that for just 2 minutes. And I'll talk more about those invasives. So the invasives outcompete the native species, and the only way they can be reined in is, again, through pretty serious and regimented treatments like pesticides, hand pulling, even bounties for people where they actually pay for people to pull these things in, bring them into a centralized location and pay them for their work. So we're just going to take this and we're going to put it in this food processor here. Put it all over here so I don't catch it on fire. That wouldn't go over so well. I get a colander just to strain that garlic mustard. And this is really just about done. We'll wait for the dinger to go off. I also have some salt. I like kosher salt, which is a rougher salt. I'll just kind of put a pinch and put it on this cutting board. And pepper. And I like coarse pepper too. But it doesn't matter. Alright. Now, that's about ready. I'm just going to strain that real quick. Get that nice, really nice green coloration. Not making a lot here. Enough to subsidize dinner tonight. Like to have wild edibles more often than not for dinner. Turn off the stove. So there they are. I'm just going to put them in the blender. I don't mind if I leave a little water in there. And then I'm going to add about 1/8 of a cup of olive oil. And this olive oil doesn't want to come out very fast, but that's good. Olive oil is expensive. So it's going out that's coming out a little slow. Let me pop that open with a knife. There we go. Much better. So just under a 1/4 cup olive oil. Probably 3 heaping tablespoons of minced garlic. Nice thing about this is I can always go back and retroact it if it's not quite right. Okay, I'm going to add that couple pinches of salt there. All right. And then I'll just grind some pepper into it. Now, I wanted to have some nuts to put in this. A lot of times people will put pine nuts in pesto, or they'll put walnuts in it. Pesto is just such an awesome source of greens, and tastes great. People eat it on spaghetti or on toast. And normally, as you probably know, it's made with basil. All right, now I really love my cheese, so I'm going to put a whole lot of that Parmesan in there. We'll have a taste test too. I've got probably some tasters that wouldn't mind tasting this when I'm done. They've had it before. All right, hopefully we get this right. Turn on the old blender. Lock it off. Here we go. On the pulse mode. Oh, I want to put the top on there. So you can make the pesto creamy by adding some butter or cream cheese to it. But that looks like some pretty darn good pesto right there. Let's see, I think I will add just a tiny bit more olive oil. And then just for fun, because I have it over here, just a little bit of butter. Put it back in there and I'm going to blend it again. That should do. All right, let's put it into a display bowl for you. Forgive me while I get a spoon. So certainly a very creative and utilitarian way in which to use the invasive species garlic mustard and the native species, which is nettle. So here it is in the bowl. Right there. We could garnish that up, make it look a little more appetizing, but it's really not bad. Hey, one of you guys want to try some? Would one of you guys like to try some on camera? Yeah. So we've got my son Leif, who's volunteered. I promise it's not bad. Oh, you know, one more thing. One more thing I wanted to add. Sorry, I forgot. Just a dash of lemon juice. Just a dash of lemon juice, real quick. Mix that around before Leif tries it. This is Leif. He's, of all my boys, probably the most interested in wild plants and wild cooking. It'll carry him far. Ready?
That's pretty good.
How about a whole big ol' spoonful? Tell the camera what you think. Thumbs up, thumbs down in the middle.
Good.
Nice. Thanks, Leif. See you back in the kitchen.